Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to kickstart your day with me, Maha Mukhtoom. We have a very fascinating show for you today, and I say this every day, but we always like to give you information. We like to give you information on health issues, on international days, on cultural aspects that are going on music, everything that we can get our hands on. We'd like to share it with you because so much is happening within Pakistan. But now we are actually going to be discussing something that we also like to give you, but it's about right to information. It's about, as citizens of the society, what should we know? What are our rights? What is there within the legal framework? How do we use these systems? And that a lot of people like to come, we like to discuss what are the weaknesses, how can we improve the civil society. But the civil society can work if their legal, social, security, all these frameworks are in order. If you don't have those in order, if you don't know what the Constitution consists of, then you're not going to know what your rights are as individuals living within this society. So for that, we have been joined by some wonderful guests in the studio who are going to be telling us our right to information. What does that actually mean? And how is it linked with good governance? Because from 2013, there were RTI, right to information laws that were passed. And in 2013, they established Independence Information Commission. So we're going to be talking about what do these organizations and systems do, what is the civil society doing. So for that, we have been very lucky. We've been joined by some wonderful people in the studio to talk about what is going on. So we have been joined by Mr. Mohammed Anwar. He is the Executive Director of the Center for Governance and Public Accountability. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Besides Mr. Mohammed Anwar, we have been joined by Mr. Zahid Abdullah. He is the Program Manager at the Center for Peace and Development Initiatives. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. Besides Mr. Zahid Abdullah, we have been joined by Ms. Natalia Tariq. She is a Program Officer at the Open Society Foundation of Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, guys, so this is quite a heavy topic for a Wednesday. Wait, what day are we on? Wednesday. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Mohammed Anwar. What is the right to information?
Well, the right to information is basically the citizen right to know about its government. When we say about the government, we said all the public bodies which are performing within the any state, citizen has actually the right to know about what they are doing, how many budget they are collecting through taxes, and how their tax money is actually utilized by the governments.
Okay, great. We actually had a show on tax the other day as well.
So basically this is about the basic information. We need to distinguish between two things. Okay. One is the public information, about which we are talking.
Okay.
One is private information.
Right.
Privacy. So privacy is like getting private information is equally prohibited or not allowed.
Okay.
Right to information about the public information is a fundamental right which every citizen should have to see how they are going to, and it is a basic for democracy.
Okay, so it's basically about knowing what the government is doing, what the governance is happening. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. I forgot to put my phone on silent or airplane mode. But now, moving forward, we are celebrating the 14th International Right to Know Day. That's correct?
Yeah.
So I'll ask you, Mr. Zahid, what is this?
Basically, everywhere throughout the world, governments are very possessive about the information. They try to share as little information with the citizens, and the citizens always keep on trying to have maximum access to the information. So 14 years back, civil society organizations around the world, they gathered in Sweden, and they decided to start celebrating a Right to Know Day every year on this very day, 28th of September, and they've been celebrating this day to highlight the need for putting in place legal procedures, mechanisms through which citizens could have access to the information which is with the government, because government is not the owner of that information. Government is the custodian of that information which it keeps on the behalf of citizens, and citizens can have access to that information. So this day is celebrated around the world to highlight the need for effective right to information legislation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Thalia, we've highlighted what is the right to information. We've highlighted the importance of observing this day. As a citizen of this country, why do we need to know? Why is it especially important within Pakistan?
So I think that it's important to highlight that first and foremost, your right to information is your basic fundamental right, right? It's been declared as that under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but right to information, I think, is a very important right for an average citizen because it actually is instrumental in helping you to achieve your other rights.
Okay.
I'll just give a very small example. So, for example, you are a parent of a child who did not get admission to a school, and you know that the child did well in the test, but for some reason the child was unable to get admission. You can actually use the right to information legislation to make public the answer sheets, for example.
Right.
And so in that sense, that right to information is actually helping your child achieve their basic right to education, for example.
Okay. And now within Pakistan, what is the legislative frame, like what's the landscape within Pakistan
Well,
for RTI?
Well, in Pakistan, Pakistan was the first country actually in South Asia which had freedom of information. So we use it interchangeably. Freedom of information, right to information, access to information, they're the same meaning.
Okay.
So Pakistan was the first country in 2005,
Okay.
2002, which has the freedom of information ordinance before even like any other South Asian country.
Okay, so that's a great thing that we were one of the first ones, but what have we done practically since then?
Yeah, so actually the freedom of information audience was not as effective as one would expect. But after like 2010, when there was 18th constitutional amendment, right to information was declared as a fundamental right, under the Article 19A of the Constitution. So after that, all provinces within Pakistan and the federal government are required to have effective right to information law. It was basically started from KP and Punjab, so both have legislated a very good laws as far as the right to information is concerned. They can actually ensure the right to information.
So that's Sindh and Punjab?
No, there is a KP, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa,
Yes.
and Punjab.
Okay, now what about the rest of the provinces? What's happening there?
Well,
Sorry, I'll ask Mr. Zahid.
yeah,
Okay. There are two sets of right to information laws, as I call it. First generation RTI laws, as Anwar mentioned, the Freedom of Information Ordinance 2002 that we promulgated in 2002.
Right.
And the provinces were supposed to legislate on this issue because so much information is available at the provincial level. Because and the other thing is that Freedom of Information Ordinance 2002 was only applicable to federal government public bodies. So provinces.
I think you're gonna have to slow down because there's a lot of like technical terms there. Okay. So let's slow down. Okay. Yes. Then.
Okay.
I'm kind of lost actually. Okay. So there's federal level and provincial level.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at federal level, we
Yes.
have this law, Freedom of Information Ordinance 2002. At the provincial level, instead of having their own laws enacted, what Balochistan and Sindh did was that they replicated the Freedom of Information Ordinance 2002, which was already, although first RTI law, Freedom of Information law in South Asia, but highly ineffective one.
Right.
But as Anwar mentioned, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Punjab, they did not replicate this law. They came up with the new ones in 2013, and these new laws are highly effective and very powerful laws.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, now in regards to the power of these laws, do we have any success stories or any examples that we can share?
not.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Actually, so we have, if you see the KP Information Commission website, they have actually compiled very good stories about that. Two stories, when one person actually tried for a job, he didn't get it. He actually then asked the department, agriculture department, to provide him the merit list.
Okay.
And when they provided it, actually he got higher score than the one who was selected for that
Okay.
position.
Right.
And he contacted the court and he got the job.
Oh,
So-
wonderful.
So there are actually a story. We just in the previous week got like 1,200 pages of information from the KP Assembly about all the minutes of the standing committees, about the attendance of the elected representatives within the MPAs.
Okay.
So such kind of information now I can see whether my elected representative MPA, how many times he actually attended the assembly sessions.
Okay,
Whether
so people can monitor what's happening
exactly,
with
and
their...
that's how
Yeah.
the democracy works.
Yes, Mr. Dalia.
Yeah, I do want to clarify one thing though.
Yes.
So I think that the way that right to information can be used depends on the person who is using it.
Right.
Just from the outset, I do want to say that it is a law that anybody and everybody can use. So just, you know, an average Joe can use the legislation to get information that is relevant to them. Then there are more technical uses of the law, like Anwar mentioned. So organizations, for example, that are specifically working on governance issues can get information related to, for example, how the parliament is performing, sort of, you know, analysis of budgets, how the budget is being allocated, how the budget is being spent. Again, this might seem like, you know, these are sort of very issues that are sort of far away from the everyday reality of the common man, but there have been cases, as again Anwar mentioned, where somebody who is unable to procure, you know, a government job, for example, is able to use the law to find out why, and if there have been some sort of discrepancies or corruption, to unveil that.
Great.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there is another, you know, very interesting aspect of this right, that, you know, not only that you can get, you know, certified copies or you seek information from the government in writing, but you can also, you know, ask a government department that please provide me a suitable time where I could come and I could inspect certain documents.
Right.
So he has the right. And then very interesting case study happened in Multan under Punjab right to information law, which Mian Shahbaz Sharif led government enacted in 2013. You know, under this law and also in KP law, a citizen can seek samples, you know, certified samples of something. So a citizen, you know, he sought a certified sample of water being provided on one of the water filtration plant
Okay.
run by Wasa,
Okay.
and he had it tested from Punjab Engineering Council, and it was not fit for human consumption. They gave the certificate, and then, you know, this is where the power of the right information lies. You know, he went to the managing director of Wasa, you know, 2-3 citizens, and they said, you know, this is the, you know, laboratory test of this water being provided. So he was sorry, and they changed water filtration plants, you know, water filters in the city. So, you know,
Okay.
this is how it's powerful.
So excellent. So it can be used to actually, you know, investigate things. It can actually be used to see what the
Exactly.
the qualities are. Sorry, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of uses. The way Natalia was actually describing it, the more it can be used. Like for example, why there is no teacher in my school?
Okay.
Whether there are positions not sanctioned in that school, or there are positions sanctioned by the government, but the position has been vacant for some reason.
Okay. Now we're going to go for a short break, but when we come back, we talked about how we can use the right information to get information and make our rights heard. But now we're going to, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about how can we implement it and make sure that the systems are actually providing us that support and legal assistance that they should be. So do stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were discussing our citizen right to information, if that's correct. There's a lot of technical terms and a lot of abbreviations today, so do bear with us. But it's very important that we know our rights. How can we use the system in order to make sure that as citizens, we are getting what we should be, within the nation. Now, before the break, we were talking about how citizens can use the right to information for their own benefit, and how does the system work. Now, if you haven't been given a job, or if there's no teacher in a school, there is a citizen's right to get that information. Why is there no teacher in the school? Why did I not get that job? So now we've talked about that we have the right to this information, public information. What is the process for a citizen first to acquire this information, and then actually then to make sure that the other systems are in place so that, maybe if the law has been broken, or like you said, Ms. Natalia, this corruption, how do we fight this? I'll start with you.
Okay, so I think that we do have two good laws in place, as we mentioned, in KP and Punjab. We have weak legislation in Sindh, Balochistan and at the federal level, but there are still laws that exist in those provinces and at the federal level as well.
Okay.
So that's a start.
Okay.
I think though where things get a little more complicated is when it actually comes to the implementation of these laws and actually getting people to start using them. And I'm really hoping that we can use this as an opportunity to make people aware that you do have these excellent laws in place.
I'm going to start using these laws, I think, after the
but
show.
most people don't know about it or think that it's going to be too complicated, but it's not. And we'll walk you through the step-by-step process for actually accessing this information, and you'll realize that it's actually a fairly simple process.
Okay.
But just to highlight that the implementation, I feel, is like the harder battle, and I feel like often you have very good laws in place in Pakistan, but they're not necessarily being implemented.
Exactly.
So when we talk about the actual use of these laws, there are two sides of it. One being, are people actually requesting information, right? So how do we get them and encourage them to do that? And the other being, are the government bodies actually providing that information?
Right.
Right? And I think that's where the role of the information commissions comes in. And I think I'll pass on to Zahid if he can talk a little more about how these new laws that we have in KP and Punjab allow for the information commissions to sort of make the entire process more robust.
Okay, tell us, Sam.
Surely. I mean, this is the common complaint that we often hear, that, what's the use of having these laws? Laws are not implemented. Actually, the beauty of these laws is that there is enforcement mechanism inbuilt in these laws. So, number one, the process itself is very, very easy and very cost effective for seeking information. For example, under both these KP and Punjab RTI, right to information laws, a citizen can seek information on a piece of paper, any plain paper, or if the public body has email address, so he can shoot an email, and referring to the law, he can say that under Punjab Transparency and Right to Information Act 2013, you are requested to provide me this information.
Right.
That's it. You are not supposed to file any, submit any fee. You just write down your request on a plain paper and send it via registered post that so that you have proof that that you sent this information request. And under both these laws, government departments in KP, they are supposed to provide you requested information in 10 working days, and they can take 10 more days if they have to gather information from different sources. And in Punjab, they are supposed to provide you the requested information within 14 working days, and they can take further 14 working days.
Right.
So, for example, you don't get reply, or you are not satisfied with the response of the public information officer. Now, what you do? So, in both cases, there is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Right to Information Commission, and in Punjab there is Punjab Information Commission, and you lodge a complaint, you send them the receipt of that registry post and the copy of your original information request, and ask them, I sought this information and they did not provide it. And both these commissions are time bound, within 30 working days they are supposed to provide you they intervene and help you get the information.
Yeah.
And the other thing, which is lastly very very important, is
Yeah.
that these commissions they have punitive powers.
Right.
Like for example, if some public information is obstructing access to information, in case of Punjab, if Punjab Information Commission is reasonably satisfied that the public information is unlawfully delaying or denying access to information, they can impose a fine, which is deducting 2 days of salary for each day of delay. And
Okay.
it actually happened in the case of a district officer, education Vihari, who was not providing certified copy of the seniority list to a primary teacher, and his 2 months salary was deducted. And similarly, in the case of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, if you lodge a complaint, then they have the power to impose 250 rupees per day for each day of delay. So these laws are powerful
Up to
because
25,000.
Sorry?
Up to 25,000. rupees.
yeah, up to
Okay.
25,000, and they have imposed these penalties in many cases. So and the other thing is, which is very beautiful, that both these Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Information Commission and Punjab Information Commission, it is in their mandate to change the mindset.
Okay.
Because it's very in our culture, first reaction of public bodies, government bureaucrats is to not to provide the information. So it's a culture. So they are empowered to create awareness, train public information officers. They have budget to raise awareness. So they can intervene at many fronts.
Okay, great. I mean, technically, theoretically, it's all there.
Yeah.
And also, right information and the way it's implemented is a direct relation to good governance. Good governance is something that we are working on within Pakistan, and you guys are all part of the civil society. You all represent different organizations and foundations. But this is all well and good, and I don't want to be. I think I'm going to be the negative one today, but. The implementation, I mean, you've said they're inbuilt, they're things inbuilt to protect the citizens or give them their rights. But more often than not, we see that a lot of people do face the hurdles. That's why the attitude, what's the point? There's no use. Because it's constant paperwork and chasing and this and that. Now, how do we get rid of that so that people do believe in these laws and so they actually use them?
Well, just to re-emphasize these 2 things. First, all the information kept by public bodies, the government department within their offices, they are owned by the citizen.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have right to everything, really, that's
no,
public?
not everything. Okay.
Checking.
So actually, both laws,
Okay.
KP and Punjab law,
Right.
they provide list for the exempted information,
Right,
which you
okay.
can't access, and which is reasonably defined.
Okay.
Like I can't access private information.
Yeah.
I can't access the information which are like business information for a person,
Okay.
which should be detrimental to the financial interest of the body.
Okay, so it protects the
It
individual.
protects individual.
Great.
And also like the kind of security related information which may cause serious security
Okay.
threat to the state.
Okay.
So I can't access the information, and that is actually the Information Commission are there to decide whether they are exempted information or not.
Right, okay.
So being a citizen, I can actually ask for any kind of information, but whether that information should be provided to me or not,
It's decided by.
Information Commission, and I have the right to go to the Information Commission
Okay.
if I am denied that information. So the first case. The second is that implementation has two sides actually. One is citizen and one is the public bodies. It starts from the citizen actually.
Okay.
So if I'm not filing information request, the law will not be implemented anyways. So the more the people actually know about the law, the more they actually know how to access the information, the more the law will be implemented.
Okay.
So that is actually started from me. The second step is whether I am provided with information or not. That is the second step.
Okay.
But the first step actually started from
So
me.
it starts from your own self. You have to know what your rights are. I want to ask Ms. Natalia, you work for the Open Society Foundation. So what is it? Because that's the thing, it's about people trying to believe in the system and get them to use it. So if you don't use it, then the law can't be implemented. But if you use it and the law is not being implemented, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. What are you guys doing in order to kind of create that hope and actually give that reassurance?
So it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg argument, right? So do you have good laws in place and then people will start using them, or do people start requesting information which then pushes for good legislation? I think that with the Open Society Foundations, our broader mandate is to promote transparency and accountability in public affairs. So we want to create an open society where citizens can participate effectively in decision making, and where we have government bodies that are also delivering as per their promises.
Okay.
So right to information, we think at least, is one of the most important tools to actually achieve that.
Okay.
The efforts that we have been making is like supporting both sides, as Anwar mentioned. So while it's important to create political pressure and do advocacy around creating effective laws and then having strong, for example, independent information commission in place, training information officers in a way that they know how to collect data and then also share that information is one side. And then the other side is actually encouraging the average citizen to start using the law, which unfortunately is not happening in Pakistan to the extent that we would hope.
Okay.
The use, I think, has been a lot more specialized. So there are very interesting cases of, for example, journalists who have been using the right to information to do investigative pieces.
Great.
And in fact, the Center for Peace and Development Initiatives and CGPA have both been assisting journalists in how they can use the right to information to get this data that they can then use for their stories.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Then you get proper research from the official sites.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great. That's really good. Actually, now I'm kind of interested. I'm going to go look up the website. Fantastic. Now, the fact is that we've talked about KP and Punjab, and they have quite progressive laws. It's, very modern, kind of fitting, encompassing everything to an international standard. But we have Balochistan, we have Sindh, we have other provinces that are not doing this. What does this mean actually for the overall situation of the right to information? I'll start with you, Anwar, and then move on.
Yeah, let us, we know that Pakistan is a kind of federal state. In federation, you have two kind of subjects, provincial, rather three, like local government. Now we have local governments. So there are federal government, the federal departments, then we have provincial departments. And actually, under the constitution, these both, the constitution define different departments. Okay, so one is like we are being asked more often, like at the provincial level, that why we can't access information regarding WAPDA.
Okay.
Because WAPDA is kind of provincial, not provincial subject.
Okay.
It's a federal subject. So you can't access information about WAPDA using the KP Right to Information Law, Punjab Right to Information Law.
Oh, okay.
You have to use the federal law to access the information.
Yeah, I think I understand this. So actually, it's actually taking away people's right to information because there's no consensus. Is that correct?
No, actually, the basic awareness level of the citizen need to be at the level to know, like the department from which I am requesting information, whether it's a provincial department or it's a federal department.
Right, okay.
So you can't access information from the federal department.
Federal for the provincial and
using the
Like
provincial
from
law, yeah.
PTV, we cannot get information under KPR Punjab law, but we can get information under FY Ordinance 2002.
Which is a federal law.
It's a federal. And it's a
Okay.
federal
So it
department.
depends on the subject and the public body. So for
Right.
example, if I'm requesting information from a public body which is a sub-national public body, so say it's like the KP Education Department, I can use the KP law to get information from the KP Education Department.
Okay. No, I don't know if I'm going to get into trouble for this. But what about, so for example, so PTV.
Yeah.
So what happens with that? Like what information? What is that?
It's a federal.
So
Federal. So we
PTV
can get
is a
information on
federal
PTV from
department.
federal.
We can, but we need to use federal law.
Yeah, so we use a federal law and system in order to request the information.
Yeah.
Exactly.
From
Oh,
PTV.
interesting.
But because it's so how you define a public body, it's essentially a body which is owned and run by the government, but it
Federal
also includes groups which might have part private sector ownership.
Okay.
But if a large part of the money is coming from the government, then we would consider it a public body. So a lot of
Okay.
universities, like public sector universities, for example, fall under the ambit of these laws.
So two things. When you are asking about what happened to Sindh and Balochistan, so we are talking about the laws now.
Yes.
The laws in Sindh and Balochistan is in one category and it's federal. So
Okay.
federal, Sindh and Balochistan.
Okay.
The KP and Punjab laws in the second category.
Okay.
So under one category, which include the Sindh, Balochistan, and
Yep.
federal, when you are requesting information, you need to file information request with 50 rupees fee.
Okay.
There is no fee under the KP and Punjab
Right,
to
okay.
information law. Okay. Under the one category, the first category, federal, Sindh, and
Yeah.
Balochistan, you need to show the reason that
Okay.
why you need information. Under the KP and Punjab, you don't need to show any reason
Okay.
because it's your right and you can access information.
That's a very difference in the
Yeah.
rights for the citizen.
Yeah, exactly. And coming back to the earlier point where you were being very skeptical,
Yes.
Mahmood,
I'm
I would
sorry.
like to address that. We have come a long way, and I would say this with a lot of with a caveat that I'm a very optimistic person. So there is already a huge paradigmatic change. For example, the way state has operated is that all bodies, whether these are government departments at provincial level or federal level, the assumption has always been that all information is secret, and all the public information is only that one which we are going to provide. Now, what these and this is the problem with these federal and Balochistan and Sindh laws as well. They say all information is secret. Only these categories of information that are.
see,
But
okay.
what Punjab and KP laws have done is that they have said, and it's very beautiful, and this is what has changed everything. Whole paradigm, the whole game, is that they said this brief list and to which we all concur and agree that information about the health of Maha which might be available with the PIMS maybe any hospital. My information, the personal information is
Yeah.
not is protected and should be protected.
Of course, yeah.
There are legitimate security needs of Pakistan, so these should be protected. And so the information which doesn't harm business interests of a person, so that should be protected.
Okay.
Information that harms in ongoing investigation, that should be protected. So apart from this very brief list, they say this information will not be provided, and rest of the information is public.
Okay,
so that
great.
is beautiful.
That is absolutely wonderful. It's just I wish the doctors would stop sharing their patient information. Apart from that, we're fine.
And just one brief point,
Yes.
as well. And the other thing is, in both these laws, it's not that the citizens will be seeking information and the public bodies will be providing the information. Under KP law, there is section 5, and under Punjab law, section 4,
Okay.
which is about proactive disclosure of information. Now, under these laws, government departments have been made legally bound to provide proactively. They are supposed to provide about their budget, about the functions that are performed by a given public body, the perks and privileges that a public body provides, are the licenses, everything that a public body does. They are supposed to put this information on notice boards, on websites. So it's not that citizens will be seeking information and they will be providing, but they have turned it upside down. They say that you should be providing this information even a citizen asks or doesn't ask.
Okay, so just be giving the information. Excellent. So that's a really good attitude. Now, because we are running short of time, I just like, we've talked about some of the success stories, which is great. It's really, heartening to hear these things. But going forward now, what is it that will be discussed in the International Day? Because, everyone's getting together, if I'm not mistaken, to discuss the situation. Going forward now, what is Pakistan looking at? If I'll start with you, Anwar, and we'll move across to
Well, I mean, we are looking at to have strong right to information law at the federal level The discussion is underway, and we are expecting to have strong RTA law at the federal level soon.
Okay.
We are also expecting to have strong right to information law at Sindh as well, because both drafts are ready.
Okay.
It's only to be put to the assembly for their approval and for voting.
Okay.
So we are expecting that it will happen very soon.
Okay,
And the good
great.
news will be, and
Hopefully, and we'll share it on our show as well. Natalia, I'd like to ask you, what would you like to see now happening, especially because we're on the 14th International Day?
So, you know, as I mentioned before, you know, sometimes we focus a lot of our attentions on having good laws in place, and they're there, but they're not necessarily being used. I'm really hoping that as a result of this show, we will actually have people start filing requests, and really to be able to see that this is not just some sort of abstract legislation that exists, but this is something that actually improves the day-to-day lives of people. It improves public service delivery. It allows you to become more active participants in a democratic process. And you know, if we want to have an open democratic Pakistan, right to information is really one of the, I would say, really incredibly important
it's
tools
considered to
for
be
that.
oxygen for democracy.
It really is the oxygen for democracy. And as I said, it's the right to achieve all rights. So, you know, it's not something that's just out there in some law book, in some constitution of Pakistan. It's something that you and I can use to actually improve our lives. So I would really want to see that happen. I really hope that, you know, we can get that message across, and, you know, we can share sort of our information if anybody needs
Absolutely.
help.
I was just going to say that. Please, like if you have any Facebook page or any website, please go ahead and share.
Yeah,
We'll
in
have it
fact,
down.
CPDI and CGPA both have helplines where people can get in touch and actually get
Do we
help
know
and
the number?
assistance.
Do you have the number? So we will share all this number. But and sorry, and Mr. Zahid, if you have anything you'd like to share with our audience.
Well, I would like to share 3 points. One, as Anwar said, you know, there is political consensus now at federal level, in Sindh and Balochistan. And that is why even yesterday in a function, Honorable Federal Minister Pervez Rashid said that, you know, the draft approved by Senate Committee on Information and Broadcasting is soon going to be presented in the Parliament.
Great.
And he was saying that, you know, he is taken it to the heart, and he is going to ensure that it is presented in the Parliament at the earliest.
Wonderful.
So that is very good. And the other thing is that at Sindh, in Sindh there is also realization. So they have drafted this the Sindh Transparency and Right to Information Act Bill 2016, which is very good. It has some lacunas, and we have you know, given feedback to them, and tomorrow we are going to we will be having a conference with them, and the leadership will be there, and hopefully they will approve the new draft, and it will be a good law. So one point, we need good laws, and you know, my next dream point is that this you know, this 14th Right to Know Day, this year UNESCO has taken up this concept, and they are also celebrating it, and soon it is going to be owned by UNO as well.
Excellent.
So hopefully one day, you know, all across the world, people will be celebrating this Right to Information, Right to Know
Wonderful.
Day. And the
Thank you.
third,
And okay, we need to hurry up because we need to wrap up this show.
yeah, sure.
And your third point?
So, and the third one is that, as Natalia mentioned, that this law has huge potential for investigative reporting. And journalists have already used this law, and they have contributed excellent stories. And I hope that, you know, more and more journalists, you know, they start using this
Absolutely.
law.
And it's you know, and it's also then on the government level, it's the official information that then they can use to do a more critical, maybe, you know, analytical piece. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we'll get you guys back on once these laws have been passed and there's been some, you know, modifications. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed that show. It was about your right to information. It's about you guys as citizens making this nation better. And if, like they said, right to information is the oxygen for democracy and good governance. And if we don't care about it, no one else will. And things don't change magically or improve by themselves. So there is a helpline for these foundations, and for the Center for Peace and Development Initiatives, and for Center of Governments and Public Accountability. The number is 091 111 243 243, and the other one is 0800 57784. We will be sharing all this information on our website. I hope you enjoyed the show. Do log on to our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning, for any more information. Do log on to our Twitter page, World This Morning without the G, our Daily Motion page, World This Morning, our YouTube page, World This Morning, and the repeat is at 11:05 p.m. this evening within Pakistan, and wherever you are in the world, you have to do the time difference, I'm afraid. But have a wonderful day, and I will see you bright and early very soon. Good morning.
Thank you.